Welcome. Welcome to the third episode of the Vinland Saga reaction series. In the last episode, the little army of the Joms Vikings arrived at Thorfinn's village, and apparently they are rumored to be the strongest army in the north, so the strongest probably Scandinavian army, and they seemed the type. They were very disciplined and strong-willed, and they all looked very intimidating. And with them arrived their captain, and this captain is Floki, the one who was named in the first episode in the flashback when we saw Thors fighting in the war. And the last episode also confirmed that this flashback was in the past and not in the future, as I presumed in the first episode. So we got clarity of that. And the reason Floki and the Joms Vikings came was because they were not really inviting, they were actually pressuring Thors and the men of the village to come and fight in the upcoming war, which is between the Scandinavian armies and I think at least pretty sure it's the Danish king. His sister got murdered in East Anglia, or was it Northumbria? I think it was Northumbria, at a small settlement of the Danish Vikings, and they were attacked and pillaged and slaughtered, actually all of them, and one of them was the sister of the Danish king, and now out of revenge he proclaimed war against Northumbria, and now he's collecting men. And we learned through Floki that actually Thors was the captain of the Joms Vikings before Floki was named the new captain. At the very end of the episode, Thors, even though he fled 15 years ago from the war and all of the fighting and the Joms Vikings to settle down with his family, he said yes, and he agreed to come with them to fight in the upcoming war, and also that the men and children of the village would fight. And everybody seemed very happy about that, and I explained in my review and dissected a bit about the nature of war, and there was a lot of symbolism in the last episode, which was very interesting and profound. That made me realize again that this anime is not just some kind of simple, what do you call it, shonen fighting anime, but it's much more deeper than that in the characters and the story. And I really enjoyed this last episode. I talked about all the symbolism in my last review, so if you want to watch that, you can do that right now. But for now, Thors and the rest of the village wants to come, or agreed to come, with Floki and the Joms Vikings. And also at the very end, Floki apparently hired a group of mercenaries, and their leader, Askeladd, I think he's called Askeladd or something, and they are hired to kill Thors. And that is an interesting dynamic that developed in that episode, and I'm very excited to see what's gonna happen next. So without further ado, let's get into the third episode. Troll. So he is serious about this. This came as a real surprise at the end of the last episode. Oh, he's called, that's his nickname. They were already issued 15 years ago. Yeah, but why haven't they come earlier? Couldn't they find it? True. Oh no, of course they killed him. Maybe it's too personal for him. He can't do it on his own. Most likely he still cares about Thors because they were fighting together in the war. And with that you create tight bonds. So maybe he can't do it on his own. Because there are too many personal feelings involved. Yeah, of course it slipped. I thought he knew. He may not fight anymore, but he still has the experience. And we saw him fight. He is definitely no joke. Oh, what? Okay. But why was he behind the curtain? Was he listening in on their conversation? But why? Is he into her? He's trying to boast, but it's not really working. Yes, yeah, he's into her. Oh, that's embarrassing for him, probably. Hopefully he will return, even though he's boastful and a bit overconfident. I don't want to see him die. Yeah. They're all lining up for her. Is she the only attractive or interesting woman in this village? They are just taking it too lightly. Much too lightly. This is not a good sign. Fighting over her. She seems to be nice too. It's always the same with romantic love, especially in the youth. You like a person, but that person doesn't like you back, but someone else. Oh, I hope so. That would be... Yes. And he knows. He knows about the consequences of war, and he probably knows that all of them are inexperienced and don't really know what would be coming for them if they were to join him. So I hope what Leif said is true. What? That just shows Thors' strength. I hope this isn't the last time that they see each other. I really do. You really have to appreciate the water animation. I've never seen such kind of water animation before in anime at least. Yes, of course, he sneaked onto the ship. What is it? What's the word? Snuck? The view. That must be amazing. To really experience this vastness. The freedom. Amazing. There's something not right about this. He also lied about the 15 years ago that there was a what do you call it, a bounty or something on his head by the military. He probably lied about that too. Doesn't seem like such a ridiculous thing. Of course, because he knows the seas and the currents and the tides. Like it's calling to you. Reminded me of sirens luring sailors into the sea. Thors knows. There was the short scene with his wife and probably her in her arms on the, what was it, on the field. That was very, it doesn't make sense because of the time period. Boys were preferred, and especially when he's the leader, the captain of an army. Scared of dying. He was scared to die because then he would have to leave his family alone without him. And before that, he probably was never afraid of fighting and of dying. Yeah, Faroe Islands. Do they know that the mercenaries are there? You can feel the atmosphere. Oh, they're hiding. They're waiting. I think that's a good choice. Yeah. They were hiding. Oh, wow. They're gonna drop all of their... Oh, shh. They blocked the way. The path. Someone could have easily been hit with a heavy log and died. So I'm pretty surprised everyone is okay. There he is, Askeladd. It's gonna be alright. Oh. He's entrusting the dagger to him. Oh yeah, he probably just jumped. That's the one that killed the Christian priest, I believe. He doesn't even have to draw his sword. Oh, that's just such a display of dominance. Whoa. That was it? God damn. This episode went by really quickly, actually, and I didn't notice it until the ending screen appeared. And I was just so drawn into this episode. It was called Troll. And from that, in the beginning, I presumed we were going to meet a troll, a real troll, a fantastical creature. And then I thought maybe there's gonna be fantastical creatures in general in the series, but this title of this episode referred to Thors, actually, and the nickname that was given to him by enemies and fellow comrades in the war, most likely. But at the ending, I said, well, you won't see it on the YouTube reaction, but on the Patreon reactions, so I'm just gonna repeat what I said there. That this nickname Troll, I wouldn't have imagined that it fits someone like Thors. Just regarding the physical capabilities and his physical appearance and prowess. Because, I mean, he's a big man compared to other people, but he didn't really come off, from what we've seen so far, as a kind of man who would appear as a troll in his fighting style as well as his physical appearance. Much rather the big guy. I think Thorkel is his name. The one we saw in the war flashback that was standing next to Thors and talking to him about Floki. He would much rather fit the type and the nickname of Troll. So I was a bit confused there. Then this nickname would be given to him, but maybe we will see exactly why this specific nickname was given to Thors. So in this episode, the village, at least the man and the young man, were getting ready to depart to set off to this upcoming war. And we actually saw a nice scene which made me like Ari, the young man who was introduced at the very beginning. Kind of came off as a bit of a, well, not really, a bit of a jerk, and something who is always boasting, and we saw it in his statements about the war, and that he was gonna kill a lot of enemies and be victorious and glorious in the fight and things like that. But this scene between him and Ylva, where we saw that he actually likes Ylva more than just a friend, and Ylva is of course the sister of Thorfinn, that he's romantically, that he's into her. And it was actually a nice, short, awkward scene between the two, but more on, of course, Ari's side, because he didn't really know what to say, and then he wanted to say something specific, probably confess his love in some kind of way before departing, but he got cut off by a friend And this friend also wanted to, well, at least see Ylva again before he was gonna leave. And then a few other young men of the village came. They were lining up actually, and that was actually a really funny scene to me. Surprised me that Ylva is so popular among the guys in the village. But maybe that also has to do with her family, because of course Thors is a very renowned man in this village and some kind of a leader. Maybe that plays also part in the interest of Ylva in general, but I'm not too sure. She's just a bit laid back, and you just cannot not like her, I guess. So we had that scene between Ari and her, and that actually made me like Ari more. So, yeah, very nice scene. And before continuing to, well, at first I wanted to talk about this little scene of Thorfinn, who snuck onto the ship, of course, and hid in a barrel. And he came out and was talking to Thors, his father. His father was a bit... he was not happy about him being on the ship, of course. And we already knew that he didn't want Thorfinn to go into this war and fight. And also that reminds me of something, who said that? Leif? That Thors had actually no intention of leading all of those young men into the war, but actually only he would go. Which made complete sense, because, as I have to repeat, he knows the consequences of war and they don't. And he already knows, he already bears the weight of the killing and the suffering. And the young men don't really have to go through this, and this is how he, well, communicates it, by not letting them come with him. And in this scene on the boat, Thorfinn was able to have a great view of the sea, and this is what he always wanted, and now he gets it. His dream to sail out to the sea and discover new lands and be free. But freedom is another interesting topic that I'm gonna talk about in a meditative talk in the future. So let's say he was at least physically free and in his mind. Yeah, we'll get to that in the meditative talk. And that was such an amazing and beautiful scene to see him in this much awe, and his breath was taken away, and just like for me also, because I could really sympathize with him and feel with him this glorious moment that he so long sought after, and it is finally here. And this is just great for him. And they were going to make a short stop at the Faroe Islands, and I think Leif said trade some goods and rest a bit before continuing to Scandinavia, to their destination. But of course, the mercenaries and Askeladd were stationed at the Faroe Islands, so they clashed, and Thors' the village and the young men and Thors, they all got trapped, and now Thors is just being a one-man army, taking out the mercenaries left and right only with his fists. Didn't even have to draw his sword. And that already really represented the raw power and dominance of Thors, and that he is a ferocious fighter. That you can't just jump on him and just take him out like that. It needs a lot more men, experienced men and good fighters to take him out. Askeladd and his right-hand man were actually staying back a bit and watching him, and they wanted to see what he's capable of and how he fights, what he looks like. That's what Askeladd said, that he wanted to see his fighting spirit. And now he gets to see it. So far, of course, he's really impressed. And in the next episode, we're going to see what happens to this situation, what happens to Thors and the others. There's still a lot of mercenaries left. Maybe they're going to have an agreement, because Askeladd is not really, as we saw on Floki's side. He also said that Floki lied about the assassination and had some details hidden, and why he wanted to have Thors killed. That also, as I said, why didn't they come much sooner, when it was 15 years that passed by and no one came to execute the order that Thors had to be killed? So my theory is that Floki lied about this order of the military to have Thors killed. Of course, it would make sense that this order would be issued, because it was a desertation. I don't actually know the real noun, but Thors deserted, and that is forbidden. So it would make sense, but he had some things hidden, Floki, and as I said, he probably wants Thors to be killed because of his personal feelings that would get in the way if he would take the sword in his own hand and kill Thors himself. But yeah, this was also another great episode, and I'm very much looking forward to the 4th episode. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Take care and bye.